Hi, Gail.
Wait, you might be muted. You're not muted. It's just that your microphone, there it is.
Buenos dias.
Hi. How are you? All right, so Marcia said she was going to be joining by Zoom as well because she was concerned about her driveway. So we'll wait a minute or so.
So while we're waiting, I'll come in tomorrow and I'll put the Torah in the right place.
Great.
And that doesn't mean in the wrong.
It's just not rolled to the right place. I don't know what that noise was.
Oh, that my laptop does that whenever it decides to do something. I usually just shut the volume off on it.
Gotcha. All right. So we'll wait another minute or two because just, So I'm going to pause the recording because there's no reason to record this.
Right? Literally.
I literally found favor or found grace.
Right.
Okay. Like in modern spoken Hebrew, if you want to say I like something, you say Ze motzeh chen be'enai. It finds favor in my eyes. Okay, you can't. If you said ani mechavev et zeh or something like that, which would be literally I like it, people would laugh at you. It's just not what they say. Okay. Hi, Marcia.
Hi.
Okay, so we're all here. We're all good. So last week or 2 weeks ago, rather, there was really a paucity of sort of interesting or accessible material, and this week there's too much. All right. No, but it's good. It's good stuff, I think. So we have 6 pages of material. Probably not going to cover all of it, and I may even skip because there's stuff that I want us to really get a chance to look at. Okay. So the context here, this is after the golden calf, right? And Moses, he's just done, right? He's just done. He doesn't want to deal with these people anymore, and he's not really sure, that he trusts anybody, including God, right? He feels kind of, I don't know how to say it exactly, but he feels that he has no help, right, and no assistance and nobody to give him any aid, and he's the way I describe it is he's having a meltdown. It really looks to me like he's having a meltdown. So he says to God, "Look," right? And that's what it says in Hebrew, Re'eh, right? Look or see. Look, you say to me, bring this people up, but you have not informed me whom you will send with me. And you said, I have known you by name, and you have also found favor in my eyes. Okay, so Re'eh ata omer Eli. Look, you say to me. All right. Now, what's Rashi's issue with this, do you think? No? All right, let's look at what he says before we try to answer that question. Re'eh, what does the word re'eh mean? Ten einecha ulibcha al dvarecha. Direct your eyes and your heart on your words. Ta omer la, you say to me, etc. But ta lo hodatani, you did not inform me. Va'asher amarta li, as you said in 23:20, so that's earlier. Hine anochi sholeach malach. Behold, I am going to send an angel. Ein zu huda'a she'ein ani chafetz ba. This is not considered notification because I don't want it this way. Okay, so I see Rashi addressing two separate issues here, right? What are they?
Yeah.
Marsha, any thoughts?
I'm looking at this, and you say, "Wait, not for." It seems like Moses. I am alone, and
right,
and who is he feels abandoned.
Right, he feels abandoned. Absolutely, right. Like I said, he's kind of having a meltdown, right? So
Right.
He's like alone in the desert.
Right.
Yeah.
Alone in the desert with 600,000 of his best friends with him.
With them, we're all, yeah.
Right, but there's a poem in Hebrew, modern Hebrew, Shnenu Yachad V'Kol Echad L'Chud. Right, the two of us together and everyone by themselves. Right.
You're together, but you're alone.
Right, but I think so. So it seems to me that Rashi's first difficulty, and maybe I'm just reading into it, but what does it mean when Moses says to God, look, right? Look, I mean, what does God, first of all, what does that mean literally, right? I mean, you're saying God to look. Does God have eyes?
We don't know.
Right? No, but I think even at the biblical level, God doesn't have eyes at this point, right? He doesn't have eyes. Okay, so now what Rashi doesn't comment, but what strikes me is that this is kind of impertinent, right? I mean,
how could he question God?
Well, it's not that he questioned God, but the way he does it, right? I mean, it's one thing, to go to your boss and say, excuse me, sir, excuse me, ma'am, I'm having difficulty. I wonder if we could discuss. Right? It's another thing to go to your boss and say, look here! Right? I mean, depending on where you work, you wouldn't last very long.
Right.
Right?
Well, as you said, if he's having a meltdown, he's past being logical.
Right. So that's the first issue. But the second issue is Moses is saying to God, you have not told me who you are going to send with me. Well, in point of fact, he has. Right? We're in chapter 33. And back in 23, God has said to Moses, I'm going to send my angel with you. Okay, so he has told him.
Yeah.
but Rashi says, well, no, this isn't considered telling because he told him, but that's not what Moses wants, right? So I don't know how you could say that that's not really telling, right? That's not really notification, right? Like if you sue me and I don't want to be sued, I can't go into court and say, well, the plaintiff never notified me of the lawsuit. Well, yeah, but here's the notice. Yeah, but that doesn't count because I don't want to be sued. Right? I mean,
That's not going anywhere.
Right. That's what Rashi's saying, but it doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me. But we know that from the continuation of this paragraph, I mean, that's exactly what Moshe wants. In other words, he's saying to God, don't send an angel, okay? Don't send an angel. I want you yourself to go with me, okay? Don't staff this out.
Yeah, that is what he says in the next couple of lines.
Right,
Yeah.
that's exactly what he's saying.
Give a really good explanation why.
Right, don't staff this out. So when Moses is saying you haven't let me know, what he really means is you have let me know, but I don't like what you told me. So I reject the notification. Right? So now
I don't want to be served.
Excuse me?
In court, you don't want to be served with notice.
Right, exactly. I decline this notice. Okay. But you said to me, I have known you by name. I have recognized you from the rest of the people by giving you a name of importance. Because you have said to me in chapter 19, I am coming to you in the thickness of the cloud, and they will also believe in you forever. Okay, so in other words, God has linked his name with Moses' name, right? They're going to believe in me, and they're going to believe in you. Okay. And so, right, so now if I have truly gained your favor, if I have found favor in your eyes, Gail was asking about this, Moshe, slightly before you got here, what that means, right? And that's the idiom. You have found favor in my eyes, or I have found favor in your eyes. There, if it is true, and now, im emet shematzati chen beinecha hodiani na et darchecha maschar ata noten lemotzei chen beinecha. All right, what does it mean, let me know your ways? It means let me know the reward you give to those who found favor in your eyes. Okay? So that I may know you, so that I may find favor in your eyes. All right. So, in other words, I mean, it's kind of a repeat of the previous thing. So I think what Rashi is saying, which is not necessarily, I mean, we can't know what Moses actually means, right? I mean, it does, and this is one of the reasons why I say, to me, it seems like a meltdown, right? Because he's not really kind of making much sense in the context of what's gone before, right? But Moses wants to.
I'm fine, except I'm taking a class right now with the rabbi.
Okay.
Okay, I'll do that.
All
Bye-bye.
Right. So, according to Rashi, I think Moses wants to know that there's a reward in the future, right? I mean, I may hate this now, but at least it's going to prove to be worthwhile sometime in the future, either in my old age or after my death. Okay. Now the next comment I think is a little bit more interesting. V'ra'eh ki amcha hagoy hazeh. Ra'eh is the same word, right? See, but here it's translated as consider. That's in the Chabad translation, and in the Eitz Chaim also. Consider too that this nation is your people. Okay. V'lo shelo toma e'aseh otcha l'goy gadol ve'et ele ta'azov. Right, because elsewhere, I mean, right before this, God said, I'm going to kill them all. And I'm going to kill them all and start new, right? Instead of B'nai Yisrael,
B'nai Moshe.
we're going to have B'nai Moshe, right? Instead of the Israelites, we'll have the Mosesites, right?
Right.
And Moshe said, no, please don't do that, okay? That you should not say, and I will make you into a great nation, and then forsake these people. Right. Oh, he said I'm sorry. He didn't say to Moses. I mean, he did say to Moses at some point, but Moses is reminding him of his promise to Abraham, right? I will make you a great nation, right? That was the promise, well, several times, right?
Yes.
Do not say that and then forsake these people. See, remember that they are your people from long ago. And if you reject them, I would not rely on those descendants who come from my loins to survive. Make known to me the payment of my reward through this people. Okay, so again, he's saying, that, hey, these are your people, right? These, not some future, not some future progeny that I might have, right? And in point of fact, what's interesting is that, obviously there are a lot of people who are Kohanim or who claim to be Kohanim or who believe that they're Kohanim, right? So they are descendants of Aaron, right? There are not too many people walking around claiming to be descendants of Moses, right?
Correct.
I mean,
that's
right? I mean, Moses had two sons, but nothing, they were non-entities really, right? They were non-entities. And who succeeded Moses was Joshua, right? It's interesting that it's a meritocracy, because for most things, I mean, thought is just coming to me actually. So for most things in the Bible, it's not really a meritocracy. Right? I mean, you get to be a Kohen because your father was a Kohen, right? And how did your father get to be a Kohen? His father was a Kohen, all the way back to Aaron, right? And even the monarchy is hereditary, right? I mean, Saul, and he was knocked off, and David replaced him, and then God promised to David a hereditary monarchy, right? But the rabbinate, when rabbinic Judaism came in, now it really is a meritocracy, right? I
But
mean,
wasn't it a meritocracy from Joshua until Saul became king? The period of the judges.
for sure.
Or sort of.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. So it's not. I mean, evolution in terms of social institutions is not a smooth path, right?
Right.
It's a direction, but it's not lockstep, right? So absolutely, you had a meritocracy in terms of political leadership, but not in terms of religious leadership.
That's correct.
Right? But in rabbinic Judaism, you have a meritocracy. I mean, religious and political are kind of fused in a way, at least in the early rabbinic period. Right?
Right.
But what's interesting, I mean, this thought just came to me, that the title that the sages use for Moses is what? Moshe Rabbeinu.
Yeah.
Right? So
Right.
in that sense, is there kind of a continuity with leadership passing by meritocracy rather than by heredity? I don't know. I mean, it's certainly, if you, and we have not studied this together, but if you look at the first Mishnah of Pirkei Avot, right, that's the chain of tradition. Kibel Torah Sinai Umasara Yoshua, and so on down the line. Moses received Torah from Sinai, transmitted to Joshua, so and so down the line, right? And this is essentially it's a political statement in the pure sense of the term, because this is what is this doing? It's establishing the authority of the rabbis, right? And they're tracing it back to Moses, right? Even though, and you get this sometimes, right? People who, I mean, it's fascinating what you can sometimes find when people who were raised Jewish read through the Bible cover to cover for the first time. How come it doesn't say anything about rabbis? But it doesn't, right? The institute of the rabbinate is not
in the Torah.
In the Torah. Now, of course, it is in the Torah. It is in the Torah, but because where it says follow the majority and so on and so forth, I mean, that's the whole sugya of it's not in heaven, right? Where they bring in a Torah quote to prove rabbinic authority, right? But that's kind of a forced reading. All right. All right. I'm going to skip around, okay? Because there's stuff that I really want to look at, and then, if we finish the stuff that I want to look at and we still have time, we can go back. I mean, there's no really objective reason why we have to go in order. Although I will tell you that the particular verse that I want to look at next, I'm also going to look at for my Torah. So you two will be ahead of the game. All right. So it's at the bottom of the second, piece of page 4. Okay. And verse 21. And the Lord said, behold, there is a place with me, and you shall stand on the rock. Right? You see that verse?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. And here in Eitz Chaim it says, see, there is a place near me. All right. And so, what's going on here, right, is Moses says to God, look, I am out. I am out unless you let me behold your face. Right? And God says, look, I can't see my face. Nobody can see my face and live. But because I like you, I'll show you my back. Right? So here, stand here in this cleft of the rock, and I'll cover you up until I pass, and then I'll uncover you, and you'll be able to see my back. Right? But what Rashi wants to look at, and I have known the quote that he's going to bring for a long time, but I never knew where it was until I started looking at this. All right, so there is a place with me, and you will stand on the rock. Behold, there is a place with me. What do you think is going to be Rashi's issue?
Well, I mean, one way of looking at it, I mean, God's everywhere, so why all of a sudden is there one place that's going to be with me versus anywhere else that could still be with God?
Right. That's part of it for sure. And also, it's just, to me, it's a strange locution, right?
Yeah.
I have a place with me, right? Doesn't
And-
sound right. Like next to me,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So, here's Rashi. Hine makom iti, behold, there is a place with me. Bahar, asher ani medaber imcha tamid. On the mountain where I speak with you always. Yesh makom muchan li litzorchecha. There, I have a place that is ready, that I have prepared. I have a place that I have prepared. Litzorchecha, for your benefits, for your needs. She'atmincha sham shelo tizok. I will hide you there so that you will not be harmed. Umisham tire masha tire. And from there you will see what you will see. Zehu pshuto. This is the pshat, okay? The plain, the simple meaning, the contextual meaning. Umidrasho, here's the midrashic meaning. Amakom sheheshchina sham medaber. It's talking about the place where the Shekhinah, God's indwelling, is. Va'omer hamakom iti. He says the place is with me. Ve'eni omer ani bamakom. God does not say I am in the place. Okay, the place is with me. It doesn't say I am in the place. Shehakadosh baruch hu mekomo shel olam. Ve'ein olamo mikomo. The Holy One, blessed be He, is the place of the world, and the world is not His place. Right? I'll say it again in Hebrew. Hakadosh baruch hu mikomo shel olam. Ve'ein olamo mikomo. Right? The Holy One is the place of the world, but the world is not His place. Okay. Pretty profound, right? But what does it mean?
The place is with me.
Right. He's just explaining. I mean, this is a midrash, okay? So don't get too bogged down, right? But in the pshat, right? But what Rashi is addressing is, why does it say there is a place with me, right? And not a place like next to me or a place where I am, okay? And Rashi is saying he can't say that because God can't be in any place, right? God can't be in any place, right? Why? Because that would be a limitation. In other words, God can't be in one place to the exclusion of being in another place, right? We can't say, oh, God is in the sanctuary, right? So He's not in the chapel, right? He's only in the sanctuary, right? God, He's not in the kitchen, right? He's at the rabbi's house, so he can't be at Gail's house, right? Because that's a limitation on God, right?
Mhm.
So we're using the word like omnipresent.
Right. But it's more even than omnipresent, right? Because if God is the place of the world, right? In other words, there's nothing but God, right? The universe dwells inside God. God does not dwell in the universe, right?
Right. Get it.
Right. So if you look, for example, at the Kedusha, Malo Kol Haaretz Kavodo, right? The whole universe is filled with His glory, right? Meaning there's nothing else, right? There's only God, right? And then Amos Oz, and I think I may have even taught this poem at some point. Not Amos Oz, Yehuda Amichai, right? There's the prayer El Malei Rachamim,
Yes.
right? God full of mercy, right? And Amichai takes that and says all of the mercy that exists is in God, and that's why there's none in the world. Right, because Amichai is an interest. I mean, Amichai is a deeply religious poet in a way, who's very, very mad at God. Right, which is a post-Holocaust. I mean, not only, but it's a post-Holocaust phenomenon. Right, but God is full of mercy, and therefore there's no mercy left to be anywhere else. Right, which in a way kind of contradicts this, I have to admit, right? Because if there's nothing but God, then if all the mercy is in God, that still doesn't contradict there being mercy in the world.
Right.
Right, but that's that's Amichai. But the idea that, right, Hakadosh Baruch Hu Mekomo Sha'olam Ve'ein Olamo Mekomo is very profound, and I didn't realize that this was Rashi. I knew this statement before I knew that it was from Rashi, and it strikes me more as Kabbalistic, right? I mean, if somebody would have asked me where that was from, I would have maybe said the Zohar or maybe Hasidic writing, right? So from the 1500s or the 17 or 1800s, not from Rashi, who was 1,000 years ago.
Right.
Right. So it's interesting. And, I mean, when I'm feeling mystical, right, this is my theology, right, that there's nothing but God in the universe. Right? There's nothing but God, and we are all parts of God, right? And the universe is one organism, right? And I think we're learning that. We're certainly learning that from what's going on in the natural world.
That's for sure. Yes.
The universe is one organism.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the kidney does not go off and say, hey, look, I'm doing my kidney stuff, right? And it doesn't concern the rest of you organs. Well, when the kidney goes off and does its kidney stuff without regard to the rest of the organs, we call that cancer.
Right.
It's even more than that. It turns out there's more of all of these other organisms in one of us than there is us in us.
Right.
That's
Right?
true.
Right?
Right.
I mean, there are all these other things that live in us. They make up more of us than what we think of as us, as an
Right.
individual.
Right, but then it brings up the question of what is us, right? I mean, if these organisms are living in me, are they really other than me?
Well, we have
Right.
a symbiotic relationship.
Right, but God could ask the same question.
That's right.
Right? God could ask the same question. If I am the place of the universe, and all of these things that inhabit the universe are therefore in me, are they separate from me? Are they different from me? It's the same question. Right? It's the same question. And there's a lot that you could say about it. Right? There's a lot that you could say about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I wanted to make sure that we got to that one.
That is important.
All right. So now let's go back a little bit. Okay. So let's look at 33. Well, all right. So let's look at 15 for a second. Okay. And he said, if your presence does not go with us, do not take us up from here. Right. B'zeh ani chofetz ki al yadei malach al ta'alenu mizeh. All right. This is what I want, because I do not want you to take us up from here if it is through an angel. Right? So that's connecting to what we looked at before, right? Where it said, well, this doesn't count as notice because it's not what he wanted. Right? So Moses is saying to God, look, my way or the highway. Right? That's what he's saying.
Well, more or less, yeah.
Right?
He doesn't want God. Yeah.
Right. If if you're going to staff this out, right, then forget about it. We'll just stay here.
Don't delegate.
Right.
Yeah, but I think if you're not doing line 16, which follows and says, because for how shall it be known that your people have gained your favor unless you go with us, so that we may just be distinguished, your people and I, from other people on the face of the earth, so that they can see. I thought that when I made the comment, he explains why he wants God there. It's the verse 16 that follows.
Right.
I mean, that's like, hey, you're coming with us, and we're going to show you off.
Right. Because, right, consider that this is your people. Right? This is your people. And so, exactly. Right? And this is also in the context of, the struggle between God and Pharaoh. Right? I mean, this whole thing is that God is struggling to show that he's more powerful than Pharaoh. Right? And so God's reputation is at risk here. Right? Because, it all jumbles together in my mind. But elsewhere, Moses says to God exactly that. If you let this people die in the wilderness, right, then that's what people are going to say. They're going to say, well, yeah, he was strong enough to bring them out of Egypt, but he wasn't strong enough to bring them to the promised land. Right? He only got the job half done, so he's not that much of a God after all. Right?
Right.
God's reputation is at stake here. All right. So 33:19. God is saying to Moses, I will let all my goodness pass before you. I will proclaim the name of the Lord before you, and I will favor when I wish to favor, and I will have compassion when I wish to have compassion. Now, the JTS translation is slightly different. He answered, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim before you the name Lord, and the grace that I grant, and the compassion that I show. Okay, so I mean,
I have a
yeah.
Yeah, I have the Artscroll translation,
Okay.
which is, I make all my goodness pass for you, and I shall call out with the name of, with the name Hashem before you. I shall show favor when I choose to show favor, and show mercy when I choose to show mercy.
Right. All right. So the JPS translation is actually significantly different than the other two translations. But I'm not sure I want to get bogged down in that. Okay. All right. He said, I will let pass before you. The time has come that you shall see some of my glory that I will permit you to see, because, and I want and I need to teach you the order of prayer. Because when you had to beg mercy for Israel, you begged me to remember the merit of the patriarchs. You think that if the merit of the patriarchs is depleted, there is no longer any hope. I will therefore let all the attribute of my goodness pass before you while you are hidden in a cave. All right. So this is very interesting. All right. So Moses has said, right, just before, right? Look, you made a promise to Abraham. Right? You made a promise to Abraham, and you can't go back on it. Right? And if you look at, I mean, much of the liturgy, right? We say the Amidah 3 times a day, right? The first blessing of the Amidah is avot, right? If you had to sum it up in a sentence, it'd be, look, have compassion upon us because we come from a good family, right? It's not our merit, right? It's the merit of our ancestors, right? We are constantly reminding God, look, yes, we know we're terrible. We know we're terrible, but Abraham was a pretty good guy, right? And you promised him that you would look out for his descendants, right? But Rashi is saying what you're afraid of, if the merit of the patriarchs is depleted, there is no longer any hope, right? I mean, it's an interesting thought, right? That the patriarchs have sort of stored up X amount of merit in the world that will accrue to the benefit of their descendants, but once that merit is gone, all bets are off. Yeah. Right? It's an interesting theory, right? Like we inherited, it's like an inheritance, right? And if your parents leave you $500,000, right? The $500,000 is depleted. You don't have it anymore, right? I mean, if you invested intelligently, it could grow, but whatever, right? And so Rashi says, or God says to Moses, that's what you think, right? Now, it's an interesting theory, because I have to tell you that my dad, may he live well and prosper, who, recently turned 90, he has a theory, because when we were kids, right? I mean, our rabbi would say if he knew you had a hangnail, you went on the Mishaberach list, right? And whenever anybody would get sick, like if my dad would get a cold, whatever, he said, make sure the rabbi doesn't know. Okay, now why would my dad say that? I realize I'm asking you to guess what's in my dad's head, but just think.
Saving it up for when you really need it.
Exactly, right? Just like Moses. In other words, my father believes that when you are born, you are allocated by God a certain number of Mishaberachs. Okay? Nobody knows what their number is, right? But you are allocated a certain number of efficacious Mishaberachs, and once you deplete your supply of efficacious Mishaberachs, that's it, you're done. Right? So you don't want to waste a Mishaberach on something minor. Because you don't know how many you have, right? You don't know how many you have, but you know it's not an endless supply. Right? So God thinks that Moses has the same worry about the merit of the patriarchs, right? But God is saying, look, it's not just dependent on the patriarchs, right? It's me too, okay? I am good. I am merciful, right? I am not just keeping you alive because of the merit of the patriarchs. I am also keeping you alive because of my good, beneficent, and merciful nature. Okay, which is endless. Okay, so the next Rashi is pretty much the same. Okay, but so that's what that. I mean, I don't know. Thoughts on this?
Compassion.
No, but it's interesting. So there are two sources of divine mercy, right? There's the merit of the patriarchs, and there's God's own nature, right? And if you look at the liturgy, right, you see both. Right? There are appeals to God's goodness and God's mercy, and there are appeals to remembering the merit of our ancestors.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. I mean, even like the main theme of Avinu Malkeinu, right? Right? Avinu is the patriarchs. Malkeinu is your own nature, essentially. Right? Honenu va'anenu ki ein banu masim. Right? Have mercy on us even though we have no merit. Right? Doesn't say Honenu va'anenu ki ein la'avotenu ma'asim. Right? Don't be merciful to us because our ancestors have no merit. Our ancestors have merit. We have no merit. Right? So all right. So now, I mean, there's a lot. Again, I did not bring every Rashi on every verse. You know, it's feast or famine, and this is definitely feast. So, chapter 34, verse 1, right? So remember that Moses has smashed the two tablets, right? When he came down and he saw the golden calf, right? And so God says to Moses, "Psol lacha shnei luchot avanim karishonim." All right, you for yourself 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I will inscribe upon the tablets the words that were on the first tablets, Asher Shibarta, which you broke.
Great parent. I'll just inscribe it. Which you broke. Make sure you get that in there. You broke.
Right. All right. So I'm going to skip the first one because it's less interesting to me. All right?
Yeah.
You for yourself. Pasol lacha. Ata shibarta harishonot. You broke the first one because the first set of tablets, where did they come from? God made them, right? And if you think about it, right? So Moses at this point is 80 years old. Okay, now granted, Moses is 80 is not like our 80, right? But still, he's 80 years old, right? And God says to him, hew 2 tablets of stone and bring them up to the top of the mountain, right? Bring them up to the top of the mountain. Yeah. He's telling him to bring the tablets of stone to the top of the mountain, right? So the first thing I'm saying to myself, wait a second. If you made the first set of tablets, you could make the second set of tablets, right?
Yeah.
And the second thing is the tablets are stone, right? It's a mountain. Mountains are made of stone, right? I got to make 2 sets of tablets, not you, me, down at the bottom of the mountain and schlep them all the way up. Why? I mean, at least, meet me halfway and let me make the tablets up at the top of the mountain instead. I mean, it's the mountain is made out of tablet, right? I mean, it's like, but no, you broke the first ones. Atap salacha acherot. You make others for yourself, right? You broke them.
No, I fix them.
You fix them, right?
Yeah.
Now,
You broke you.
right?
Right.
Right. So this is now we have Mashal Melech. All right. This can be compared to a king, right? King who went abroad and left his betrothed with the maidservants. Because of the immoral behavior of the maidservants, she acquired a bad reputation. Her bridesman, the person appointed to defend the bride should any problems arise, arose and tore up her marriage contract. He said, if the king decides to kill her, I will say to him, she is not your wife. The king investigated and discovered that only the maidservants were guilty of immoral behavior. He therefore became appeased to her. So her bridesmen said to him, write her another marriage contract because the first one was torn up. The king replied to him, you tore it up. You buy yourself another sheet of paper, and I will write to her with my personal handwriting. Okay, so who are all these people?
Well,
You want to go, Marsha?
go ahead. Go ahead.
So the
Dale,
king,
go ahead.
the king is God.
Right.
The bride is the Kalal Yisrael,
Right.
and Moses is the bridesman
Yeah.
who dashed the tablets, and now he's going to go fix them.
Right. And the maidservants are the mixed multitude who went out with Israel. Okay, so according to this, it's not the Israelites who misbehaved, it's the mixed multitude. I'm not sure I buy that, right? But that's what Rashi says. Likewise, the king represents the Holy One, blessed is he. The maidservants represent the mixed multitude. The bridesman is Moses, and the betrothed of the Holy One, blessed is he, is Israel. That is what it says. That is why it says, hew for yourself. Okay. So, according to Rashi, I guess Moses actually kind of was acting improperly.
Yes, it sounds that way. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Right. It seems to me there's two different issues, right? I mean, the breaking of the tablets, and that's why, to me, this mashal, this parable, doesn't work exactly, right? Because
it doesn't work for me.
Excuse me?
Yeah, he didn't.
I said it really doesn't work.
He did it because he was PO'd.
Right. I think the bridesmaid really did misbehave, right?
Yes.
And I get why he did it, right? It's like, it's complicated legal stuff, right? But it's like
Well, you
right?
comes down with this. He's angry, a bit angry, and you could see a reaction.
Right. Right. But he has a right to be angry. Whether he has a right to break the tablets or not, I don't know. But I guess more. All right. Maybe not to pick apart every little detail of this midrash, right? But the point really is that Moses is seeking to defend the people of Israel. And I get it, he did right, but he did wrong in that sense, right? Because why did the bridesman rip up the marriage contract? Because the king is mad, right? The king has heard that his wife acted immorally, so he wants to have her put to death, right? Which he can do. If your wife commits adultery, you can have her put to death, right? And so he rips up the ketubah, and he says, "She's not your wife. She's not your wife, right? Because there's no ketubah." And that's actually true. This is a point of law that few conservative Jews know and even fewer follow. But as a matter of sort of black letter halacha, if your ketubah is misplaced, you're not allowed to live together as man and wife anymore. You have to have a new ketubah written before you can actually live together, right? So similarly, I guess here, well, all right. So God wants to destroy the Israelites for making the golden calf. Right? Why? Now that I'm thinking it through, it's making more sense, okay? Mm-hmm. Why? Because it says in the Ten Commandments, right? You shall have no other gods before me. Lo ta'aseh lecha pesel v'chol tmunah. You shall not make for yourself a graven image. Right? So they violated that. So I'm going to kill them. But Moses says, what are you talking about? There's no Ten Commandments. There's no.
That's right.
There's no ten. What?
Smash them. They don't exist.
Right. There's no Ten Commandments, so you can't hold them responsible for breaking them. Right. So God says, okay, fine. I see your point, but nevertheless, this is on you. right? This is on you. So you broke them, you fix them. All right? 9 o'clock.
Right.
So,
Wow.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you all
Thank
on
you.
Shabbos.
Right.
And you two are ahead of the game. So when it comes to the drasha on Shabbat morning. All right. So maybe I won't put this.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.